Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me. Please hit a sub and a share and a like. It really helps out the channel. Right, so let's jump into the weekly gaming news. More games during PlayStation 5 reveal ran at 30 FPS, a few at 60 FPS. Now this is following the Digital Foundry's analysis on some of the games. It says here, if you believed all the marketing and hype, you'd think every single PlayStation 5 game was going to be blasting away at 4K 60, 4K 120 FPS or 8K. Yeah, you might want to adjust your hype meters. So this is basically what Digital Foundry have come up with. This is just reporting what they've said. The good old folks at Digital Foundry have done what they do best, deep dive on the resolution and operating frame rates of the games. And here's a breakdown of the games running at 30 FPS. So Ratchet & Clank, Rift Apart is running at 30 FPS. Now, firstly, the reveal itself ran at 1080p 30 FPS, but you could look at the games individually, and that's what Digital Foundry have done. So this is not based on the live performance. This is based on their individual games themselves that they run individually for a better performance. So this Digital Foundry believe that Ratchet & Clank's going to be 30 FPS, Stray 30 FPS, Returnal 30 FPS, Kena, Demon Souls, Destruction All Stars, Horizon, Oddworld, all 30 FPS. Now Ratchet & Clank especially is surprising if that's 30 FPS. 60 FPS games will be Gran Turismo 7, it should be Sackboy, Godfall, Astro's Playroom and Resident Evil 8. So yeah, that's not great. I don't know what your opinions are on this. Mine are quite strong because we're going to the next generation now. 30 FPS is last gen. I mean, last gen should have really been pushing more 60 FPS games. It did on the Xbox X. PS Pro was lacking, and I mean, The Last of Us 2 is struggling to hit 30 FPS on its own. Just was recently launched at the end of the generation. That's struggling with 30 FPS. So you'd expect Sony, with all the hype they've given over the SSD and all the power and stuff, would be targeting 60 FPS or would be reaching 60 FPS at a minimum. 30 FPS just doesn't cut the mustard, basically. I don't believe. I think that's pretty bad, especially as some of the reports say they're going to. Let me bring this up. Bear with me. That it's going to be 30 FPS and 1500p. So that's not brilliant. I'm sorry, Sony. I mean, if you're going to release, you've seen my review. Hopefully, you've seen my last video and you've seen my podcast with the new legal Red Dead Panda. Please check out the channels. You will see that we weren't overly hyped for the reveal. We didn't think it was that great. Some of the games were bland and boring. A lot of the games are bland and boring, actually. I think about 90% of the games, 80% of the games weren't great. There was some good games, but no jaw-drop moments, no shocks at all in any of it. The games we did say, which were the better games, we expected, other than Spider-Man. But Spider-Man, well, I'll get onto that in my next news clip. Got a lot to say about Spider-Man, but would that be 30 FPS? Because it's not on this list, oddly enough. They pretty much covered all the big Sony games, but not that. So that's a massive shocker right there. 30 FPS PS5. Do you want to buy a PS5 and still play 30 FPS games? Please drop your comments and thoughts down below, especially if they're hitting 1500p 30 FPS. Not being funny, but the Xbox X last generation console was doing that. So if PS5 is going to be competing with the Xbox X, then the Xbox Series X is going to make the PS5 look like, so last gen. It's going to look awful. I hope Sony does better, or I hope Digital Foundry are wrong, because I want to buy a PS5 and so many things are telling me not to get a PS5 at the moment. The games and this is things like this, basically. But let's move on to the next topic. So it turns out, can I say I was wrong? I don't know if I was wrong. Technically, I was wrong, I guess, kind of, because I said there wouldn't be a Spider-Man game at launch. I said the last one only came out 2 years ago. There is no way Insomniac have slapped together a complete Spider-Man game. When it showed, I was like, oh, really? They did that? 2 years? Well done on them. Then, as time's progressed, we've learned a bit more about this now. As the previous videos have shown, it's an expansion. It's not a full, complete game. It's just an expansion on the last game, more or less. They've said it is a sort of standalone game. Steam that calls it a standalone game. However, they have said, where have they said it? Somewhere along here. The game's going to be a lot shorter. Where is it? Where are we? It's significantly smaller than the Spider-Man PS4, and as a result, be cheaper than a full-price game. So it's significantly smaller. Take that as you will, and it won't be a full-price game. So is this going to be a AAA game at all? To me, as I said before, this sounds suspiciously like delayed DLC. This sounds like this would have been DLC for the Spider-Man game. Sony, with no real first-party games to show off at launch, looks like they've, to me, being a cynic, have held back this DLC to release as a full game for the PS5. And loads of people hyped about this, but wow, I'm quite shocked that people are going to buy a PS5 basically for DLC. This is not a full game. It's not a large game. It's not a complete game. It's basically just an expansion. That's their words. That's Insomniac's words. It's a standalone game, but an expansion and significantly smaller than the PS4 title. Are you hyped to spend £500-600 next gen console to play 30 FPS games and DLC? I mean, there is Sackboy. Actually, that's not a launch title. Oh, Bugsnax is a launch title, and Godfall. Yeah, I'm not sure where to go with this. Spider-Man DLC. As I said, it's as it stands right now. Everything's telling me not to buy a PS5. I want to so much because I want to do an unboxing. But I'm just gonna be cringing as I'm unboxing it and just putting out that DLC and slap it in and just getting I can imagine it's gonna be a few hours long, the game, or maybe 5 hours long, 10 hours long perhaps. Bear in mind, Xbox Series X is gonna be dropping Halo Infinite. So, but let me hear your thoughts below. Spider-Man DLC #expansion. Significantly smaller. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's move on to the next subject. Finally, I've been waiting for so long for this game. Star Wars Squadrons is coming out, hopefully not delayed, in October. So this should be sort of for the next generation consoles, I guess. Well, it says here, it's coming October 2nd. Star Wars Squadrons, a new space combat game for PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC. It doesn't say it's in next generation consoles, which is odd. So is it a remastered version of the old games? I mean, they've said below that they've made it specifically for people to replay it, blah, blah, blah. We created this game for every Star Wars fan who has ever dreamt about soaring across the galaxy in their favourite starfighter. So, I mean, the game looks, I don't know if you look, please check out the trailer. The game looks fantastic. I remember playing these games way long ago on my PC when I was a PC elitist. These games are fantastic. Absolutely loved them all. The TIE Fighter and X-Wing games, and they were just fantastic games. Much prefer them over the actual FPS games. But the thing I've noticed in this, which has really got me hyped now, because the thing I brought up about the PS5 reveal was there was no VR. They've not mentioned anything. The last thing I heard about VR was when they cancelled the VR studio, Sony. And during the reveal, they mentioned no VR games, no support, no nothing, which was very odd considering there's a lot of people been pushing on Xbox saying they've got no VR, they've got no VR. And I was thinking, is Sony now dropping VR? Have they realised that the VR wasn't a success as they hoped and they're dropping it? However, this game will be supporting VR. Hopefully be supporting VR on PlayStation. If so, this might now give me a reason to buy a PS5 if it has VR. So I will play this game on my PS5 VR via VR as Xbox rightfully so. I'm with them on this. Said they're not going to have VR introduce VR yet until it becomes more accessible. Now this is a game that I think should now prick up Xbox's ears. Games like this, because at the moment there's been lousy games, not been full games. There've been bitty games, nothing AAA, nothing really fantastic that stood out. This and games like this moving forward would most definitely be a reason to buy VR. So I'm really actually hyped now, and possibly going to look closely now. Hopefully PS5 will launch a VR unit, and I will buy this game for my PS5 VR. This will probably be the only game I buy, because I don't fancy buying the Spider-Man game or Snackboy. So that is great news for any Star Wars fans out there. Please check out the video, the trailer to it. It looks fantastic. I just hope, as I said, there's no mention of next generation consoles. They've only mentioned Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and PC. So it's very odd that they've never mentioned, considering it's coming out in October. That's very odd. So we'll have to see where that goes. Obviously, you get it cheaper if you've got EA access on PC, on Xbox and PC. So, excellent news. Let's move on to the next bit of news. Okay, moving on to the next bit of news. Now, I don't usually like reporting on rumours. Actually, in general, I just do not report on rumours. But this rumour, I think, may have some possible truth to it. Xbox Series X price is $400. Xbox Series S is $200, claims rumour. Now, the $400 for the Xbox Series X is possible. I think Xbox are totally looking to completely cut and undermine the PS5. Phil said they're willing to take a loss because their subscription services will cover the cost now, and so are their first-party studios, which make more money from than third-party, which is what Sony seemed to go towards, third-party over first-party. £200 for the Series X? No, I don't think it's going to be that cheap. I would really think it'd probably be more, if it is going to be a lot cheaper, $300. $200 I think is way too cheap. Though it would be interesting if they did do that. So these people basically reporting on this. The Xbox Series X may be sold for around $400. Oh, that's a mistake. They've got it. There's dollars up there and there's pounds down there. I doubt if it's £400 worldwide on all different things. When it launches this year, an insider claims the digital version will be half that price. Now that Sony has revealed the PlayStation 5's initial games lineup, we arguably know more about the console than we do Microsoft's, which is not expected to have an equivalent game reveal event until July. We don't actually know anything about PS5's console. They didn't actually give much detail about it. We ain't got a clue about really the SSD as much, just what Sony sort of waffled on and got boring about. We don't really know much about any of it, really, so I don't think I couldn't say I know more about the PS5 at all. I know far more if you look at the Xbox. I mean, we don't know the cooling system. What's the cooling system for the PS5? Everyone keeps going like, yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool. It won't overheat. It's going to be cool. It's got a super technology, advanced, magical, with fairies cooling system. Okay, Sony have not mentioned it at all. Only the sort of fanboys only saying it's going to be super cool. The console's giant. I'll get that into the next news bit. But the most important question for both consoles remains unanswered. Sony did come out and say they're waiting for Xbox to give their price, and Xbox come out and said, "You go first," which I loved when Phil said that. No, we're just going to hold out for Sony, thanks, because we can afford to. That was brilliant. So Sony, I think, are really concerned here because they want to release. I reckon they're hoping the Xbox X is going to be 500. Xbox would be, if I were home to Xbox, I would drop it at £400 Series X and take the loss. So the rumours come from poster Eastman on the Beyond 3D forum, who has proven accurate with Microsoft information in the past. Although he admits that Microsoft's plans are constantly in flux and pricing could change if Sony announces their PlayStation 5 details first. So I guess he suggests if PlayStation comes out and says 500, they might change it to 450, or if so, they're assuming that the PlayStation 5 is going to be 450, so they're going to undercut it by £50 to be 400. Maybe that's the logic behind all this, or Xbox could just be thinking, no, we're going to go 400 regardless. If the Xbox 5 releases at 400, we're 400. If it releases at 450, we're still 400. If it releases at 500, we're still 400. If it releases at 900, we're still 400. That could be their logic. I personally would just come out for as my Xbox and just drop the gauntlet and say 400. Bosh. Top that, Sony. Sony will not drop the PS5 to 350. They will be selling that console at half price. They would be killing themselves. Last I heard, it'd be half price Xbox Series X, and last I heard MS were prepared for 400. Yeah. Okay, so that pretty much covers that. So what do you think below? What do you think the prices will be? I definitely think 400 for the Xbox Series X. I do not think 200 for this slim version or the digital version. I just don't think it's got the lesser components. It's got the same amount of power, but without a disk drive. I just don't think 200. That's just the disk drive alone doesn't cost £200. I would most definitely buy the digital version if that was the case. Most definitely buy the digital version because I don't buy any physical games. All my games are digital. So that's just madness if that's the case. I'd buy 2. In fact, I'd probably buy more and then give one away just for shits and giggles on my channel. Yeah, that'd be mad. But let's move on to the... Oh, here we go. What's also interesting about Eastman's comments is that additional details which claim that Microsoft will attempt to reduce its losses by taking a larger cut of game sales and Game Pass subscriptions, which is not something third-party publishers are likely to be happy about. See, I did mention they're going to make their losses through Game Pass. I don't think they would take more money. I think the plan would be sell more consoles, you sell more Game Pass. Sell more Game Pass, you make more revenues. That's how they're going to make their revenue. That's pretty much how all businesses run. Sony doesn't run that way because I think they're very outdated thinking the way they go with exclusives and stuff. I reckon they're going to really struggle this generation. I think Sony are be openly honest, I reckon they're going to be like the PS3. I reckon they're going to struggle at the beginning until they sort of realise what they need to do and switch it up, just like they do with PS3. But let's move on to the next bit of news. So finally on to this bit of news. No, I don't want your cookies, go away. PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X console size comparison. Now what's interesting is the beginning of last generation, or this generation, 2013, Xbox One was slated for its size over the PS4, which there wasn't that much size. I reckon enough the PS3 was massively bigger than the 360, but it didn't seem to be, size wasn't an issue then. It wasn't an issue to Xbox One come out and suddenly it's giant, it's massive compared to PS3, PS4. Why would you buy a console that big? Blah 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 blah. Now we're going back again, and now look at the PS5. This is someone's done a mock-up of all the sizes. So you can see here, like the PS3 was a beast. Even the PS3 Slim was like still bigger than a 360. Well, just a little bit smaller, possibly. The PS3 was a beast. Why did anyone want that? That looks horrible. Why anyone said this looked like a VHS? Look at that. Look at this. So PS4 was then compared to this. And that was called Monster and Massive and blah blah blah. This is all. Everything has to be small. You know, why would you have a giant console? Now look at this, smash! Look at him go for it. He just thought, oh, I'm going to hold my beer. Size of me. The Xbox Series X is just sitting there going, okay, I'm clearly the smallest out of. I'm almost as small as the Xbox 360 Slim. So the Xbox Series X is just sitting there comfortably going, yeah, whatevs. Well, this thing's going, yeah, look at me go. I'm just going to keep growing, man. You wait until the PS6. Woo, yeah, look at me go. Oh, yeah, motherfucker. So, yeah, I've just gone off there on a bit of a tangent there. Yeah, that is massive. Are you happy that you're going to have a big, giant console? I've been concerned that it's about the same size as my TV. I'd also be concerned that if I knock that thing, would it just topple over? Because it's going to be very top-heavy. Especially when you've got the digital version, which doesn't have this bit on here. So it's going to be even lighter down the bottom. You know, you just walk along, go nudge, that's going to go or off your desk. You're into desk, that's going straight on the floor. This is much smaller, and it can just fit in anywhere. I do not like the standing up versions. I don't like the things with the standing up. I know you can get one for PS4. I don't like why people have their consoles standing up like that. It's just awful. So yeah, it's going to be a massive console. Is that because they haven't got? Is that their cooling system solution that they're just going to make it massive and just hope it cools down naturally? Is that their solution? Because we know the Xbox, well, the Xbox One was fairly quiet. Xbox One X was just silent. These have all been jets, basically. You just had a squadron here in your living room for the past 20 years. These have just got quieter and quieter. This, I imagine, is just going to be absolutely silent. Is this because you're going to buy it and you're going to burst your eardrums? Or they made it so massive that it's going to let in so much air and oxygen and whatever, it's going to naturally keep it cool. You're probably going to have moss or something growing in it as well, but I don't know. and cockroaches living there. But let me know your thoughts below. Are you surprised by the size of PS5? Was you aware it's going to be this big? Because people, when this was first released, didn't show anything about this console. When this came out, people going, "Oh, it's massive. It's like a tower. Why own that? I've got a PC." Oh, look at it, man. Come on. Where's that same energy? Okay, let me know your thoughts below. Love to hear your comments. Please sub, share, and like. Share out on Twitter. Share out to your friends. Show your nan. I'm sure she would find it interesting. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye for now.